Hello, my name is Betty Miller, and I'm the Director of Paranormal Investigators of New England. And I'm bringing to you today Heidi Bartlett, who has got a wonderful story. We asked members to share their stories of what made a difference for them, or something that was a remarkable event that they'd like to share, because I think everybody would like to know turning points in people's lives. And so uh, I welcome to you right now is Heidi Bartlett. She's also the assistant manager of Vermont. Excuse me, assistant director of the Vermont division. So welcome, Heidi, and thank you for joining us. Please do start right in, and if you would tell us about your story.
Sure. Hi, Betty. Yeah, I had a very impactful moment while being an investigator with Pine. We previously had an investigator who worked with us who was also a clergy. And he kind of went off in his own direction, and he worked with mostly negative energy and possibly demonic spirits as well. And what he provided for clients was cleansing of the house in his form of a exorcism at times. So as time went on, he reached out to Betty because he felt something was really wrong at his house, and he felt that there could possibly be possession going on with him. Things that were happening with the type of activity that was happening were things like pictures were being literally thrown off the walls, landing in different areas. Books, Bibles, he's very Christian, were being thrown on the floor and pages ripped out, among other things that were going on. Things that were very special to him, that were his mother's, were also being thrown in the mix with this. So he contacted Betty and needed help. There was a lot going on there, and we needed to assist. So what Betty did is set up a camera and left that running overnight. And the next day she reached out to me to go and help her with this because things were seemed like they were quite bad. And so I left work early, met her there. A guy who had a big personality, big characteristics, was like down to nothing. He was a shell of a person, just not the same guy that I knew before. Something was wrong there. And we watched the video, and it ended up that it was him that, well, he left to take a nap, came out shortly after, and didn't look like him at all. And he was causing a lot of the things that were happening with things coming off of the wall, things being thrown around. Yeah, he was just out of sorts. So this is something that's quite above what we're able to do, what we're capable of helping out with. So we contacted someone who was a Wiccan, and was a warlock who was known for um, removing spirits from residences. He was pretty big in doing that. I know nothing about warlocks or Wiccans. I don't know a lot about what they do, but we had to welcome that in. So it got to a point where he's talking about the things that he was going to do, the processes of removing the spirit. And I could see something dark flitting around, and I could see that it was affecting Mike because his personality was changing. And when the warlock was saying that he was going to remove this entity from the residence, I could hear this entity actually screaming, "No, you're not. I'm not going anywhere." He's just like screaming it. Got to be too much for me, so I went out to the hallway, and just had to take a break from it. And later on, when Betty and I left together, I told her, I said, "I'm not coming back. This is too much for me, and like, I just can't handle this, and I don't want to be a part of this anymore." Well, 2 days later, I was sitting on my couch in my living room, and a very pitch black entity was standing there, and I could make out its shoulders. It was like this much taller than me, in very small frame, was standing there just looking at me. And I just told it to go away. So the next day, it came back again, and it seemed like it was leering forward at me, just watching me, just checking me out. And so it was at that time that I told it that I was no longer on this case. I was no longer going to be helping. It didn't need to check up on me anymore. And it left. And it was at that moment I was just feeling horrible that I had said that. This is, somebody who was a friend and an investigator who I like working with, did a lot of great things. And I was bailing on him. I should have been fighting with everything that I had for him. And I'm basically telling the entity that, I'm off of this. Don't come around here anymore. So it was kind of a crux right there that this is, not how I want to represent myself when I'm investigating. Um, so as an afterthought with this, I find myself basically going to where activity is happening. Like if there's a door that shuts upstairs and the client says, "Oh, that's the door in the hallway that's always closing." I'm running up the stairs to go check it out. I mean, I want to see what's going on. And there was a crawl space that we figured out that something was going up into a bedroom, and I could sense that it was in the back of the crawl space. And I said, "I'm going in." And everybody's saying, "No, no, don't go in." But I don't want to do it disrespectfully. I want to be as respectful as I can when I do that, but I am wanting to just try to resolve, these things that are going on. I think that may have been what affected that type of a change. And also, Betty had
You
an
around.
interaction. What's that?
I'm sorry. So it really turned you around from being, from running away from things to wanting to go at them during like to face your fear type of thing.
I think so. It's like putting on a super cape and, you know, going towards it.
That you do. I
And
will say she will do things that other other members won't do. So, such as going into a very small crawl space and sitting there. So, yeah.
yeah. But you had an experience with that same entity that I did on that first night.
I did, and I will tell you it was actually Christmas Eve night because that was Christmas Eve day that happened. It was during the day or later evening, I should say. And then it was Christmas Eve night, I believe, which is kind of a paradox, something evil coming during Christmas time. But uh, so I went to bed and I was actually in the bed alone and I was going to sleep and I felt this, my eyes were closed and I felt this thing come over the top of me, like not touching, but it was so heavy and vibrating that I could feel it pulsing. And I knew exactly what it was. It was a force and it was from that place of the where we were at the clergy's and I didn't open my eyes. I didn't want to give it the benefit uh of letting me see it and remember it forever, but I just started right in praying. I did the Lord's Prayer a couple of times. It gradually let up, but I knew it was bad. I knew it was evil, knew it was there, and where it was from, it was my warning. And so I also think you're also too hard on yourself, Heidi, because I backed off too. And but at some point we did help this person in other ways
Yeah.
down the road. But as far as putting ourselves in that situation when it was way over our heads at that time, uh, so don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah. I know I get to my limit, but I still feel like I should do more. So yeah. But that entity never came around here again. So
Yeah. I think he left his warning with both of us. So we never showed the clergy the actual video of him turning into this monster type um, thing, completely different from himself because we didn't feel it was necessary and something that he should carry with him in his head. Uh, but it really was a remarkable event for me too, Heidi. And I'm so glad that you shared this with us. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell us about it?
no, I think that's it. I mean, we've had some pretty hairy cases where things have happened, but I mean, in regards to a very poignant case, that was one. That was one.
That's cool. Well, thank you very much, Heidi. If anybody has questions for Heidi or would like to speak to her personally, you can find her on our team page on pi-ne.org. And we are also soliciting for anybody that is out there that would like to give us your story on an event that happened that perhaps changed how you thought, you felt, your feelings about the paranormal. We'd love to share that too. And you can send that directly to me at footsteps802@gmail.com. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you, Heidi.
You're welcome.